or something along those lines to accompany him. I decided here I didn't want to run 2 Cathars, or I don't know. We're monkeying anyway. A couple of things may get cut here, but I'm going to go ahead and just fast forward it to the play video. Alright, welcome back. This is our Innistrad draft with our sort of human werewolf build. Opening hand, terrible. Should mull this hand because all I've got is Woodland Sleuth, a card I don't want to be casting. So here we go. This was much better. I've got all of my colors, and even though I don't necessarily have something to play, I have an early game removal for interlopers or anything of that sort. I've got a grasp, and look at how lucky I was here. I drew my Mayor of Avabrook first. He's not really an aggressive card per se, but he's a fine fine turn 2 drop. Especially against, I would imagine, a blue deck. Generally, it's going to take them until turn 3 or 4 to really get anything rolling most of the time. We'll see what happens, though. Hamlet Captain. So what I'll do here is, it's kind of it's a potential waste for a spell like Spidery Grasp, but I'm going to go ahead and attack into him. Maybe passing the turn would have been better here, but I looked at it as, well, I can either get a free point of damage in, or I can kill his dude. And one of the secrets to making this mayor be successful is I've got to keep that board clear all the time, because when I do start making my walls, if I do start making my walls, then I want less guys on the table to be able to chump block and do anything in retaliation against me. The basic game plan of my deck is to put as many things out as I possibly can and keep them there for as long as possible. And since I know with this color combination I'm not expecting a lot of removal, I should try to clear his board as much as possible, because there's not going to be much to clear mine. Now, he's got things like sensory deprivation, and he no doubt has some claustrophobias or something of that nature. But really, sensory deprivation there is sort of a wasted card on this Mayor of Avabrook, because he's not a guy that I'm meant to attack with. He's a guy that I want to boost my humans, and he's a guy that I want to make wolf tokens. So him putting sensory deprivation on there, you know, he didn't get maximum usage out of that card, and he also signaled to me that he's not going to be killing this Mayor of Avabrook. He's not going to be getting rid of it, and that, when the game stalls out, will be a big problem. And there's that claustrophobia that we were expecting to see. We have nothing to do here but go ahead and pass the turn to get our Halpak Alpha ready. We notice our opponent is playing white, which means he does have access to some removal, like Rebuke, probably, and Smite the Monstrous, as well as probably Bonds of Faith, and possibly Ghostly Possession. Geist is good stuff, a reason why I would have wanted to save my grasp. But he's in a position where he doesn't necessarily want to attack. I'll gladly play my boar here, even though I'm not getting the morbid out of it, because again, I want to clutter this board with as many creatures as I can. I'm not particularly scared of board wiping in these colors. Pretty much the only thing I can think of is Divine Reckoning, and that's not so great a board clearer in this scenario. Especially when I've got so much stuff waiting in hand still. And he's down to 1 card now, so all of his resources are going to be coming off the top of the library. I've already got something that's going to continually affect the board state in this Halpack Alpha. And now that he's flipped, it's very unlikely that he's going to be flipped back with the way this game is running. So I can afford to take some damage from this Geist for a while if I have to. And now I have a defense card active. I can get the Summerwald Spider out, but my best plan is to go ahead and get this Monk rolling once again, as many guys on the table as I can. Monk is great against this opponent too, because if he stalls me by playing Claustrophobia and Sensory Deprivation, then I've got a much bigger Monk than I should have, and that's very good for me. Also, I got some extra spirits to help me chump block against that Geist. Now here, probably the best move for me to do would be to attack with my wolves, my spirits, and my Geist-honored monk. But I chose to leave the spirits at home, mostly because I don't have a target for this sleuth, but really my goal here should have been to get the spider out into play. But I figured that I would be fine with playing the Voiceless Spirit, but I think I don't actually even end up doing that, because I don't need to show anything else at this table right now. Putting out another creature when my opponent has 3 life, like he does at this point in the game, is really kind of a waste of time. So I can leave this board the way it is and hope that he does have some sort of mass removal spell, because I'll be able to come back from it very quickly. So that's game 1. Nothing really happened on my opponent's side there. It looks like he just kept a rather lackluster hand. I didn't really see anything that I needed to move against. I think one thing that I would say now is Travel Prep is less good in a deck that has the kind of removal. And here we go. Village Bellringer is much better. It's a human, so it's going to react with my Mayor. And also, Travel Prep's pretty easily shut down by things like Claustrophobia and Sensory Deprivation. So having another body to hit the table is more what I need against this particular opponent. Not a particularly fantastic hand. I'm missing green, but I do have my Mayor, and because I have the 2 pieces of removal here and very realistic expectations of getting land by turn 4, it's a safe one to keep. And here we go. I got lucky here. I got my Mayor of Everbrook out. Against this particular player, it's a great card to have out turn 2. If this opponent was playing red or black, this would not be as awesome. But since I know that he's got a relatively light removal set, I mean pretty much it's only in combat removal that he'll be hitting me with. And of course I've already mentioned how things like Claustrophobia really don't bother me when I'm running a Mayor. Another thing that I see, another reason I don't really care for Claustrophobia is because Spidery Grass beats it, Village Bellringer beats it. Blue players will be comfortable will feel comfortable in the fact that they can hide behind spells like Claustrophobia, but then all of a sudden, if you play Village Bellringer or Spidery Grasp, not only are you catching them off guard at a time when they thought that you had a creature that wasn't going to be available to you, you are also enabling a future attack. And I use the same trick I used last time. I want, as long as I set this board up to where I have guys and he doesn't, it doesn't really matter when the Mayor flips. Because at some point he will flip and he's not going anywhere. And in this case, because my opponent had nothing to do, I've already got him flipped now. My play here should be to go ahead and get that Mausoleum Guard out. I might choose to do do the dagger though. And this is another reason why it's good that I didn't do anything. I was keeping Geist Flame around specifically for things like this. Ambush Viper is no good as a surprise if I've got the counter for it. I've learned to do the same thing with the Card Ranger's Guile. Somebody has an awesome trick like Spider's Grasp. You can actually target their creature to hexproof their guy and make sure that they can't utilize their trick. And basically, as far as I'm concerned, if I can use a 1-mana counter that the opponent will never expect, then I'm rather fond of using that card for that purpose. To the point of even being willing to accept a point of damage on a particularly boisterous attack. And now my opponent probably doesn't have a whole lot he can do, but he can cast good old Jugs. Pretty decent card, but it can really be a liability. It's definitely playable though, and it's cheap enough to be really effective. Now, probably the best thing for me to do right here would be to just play the guard and plan on getting some spirit tokens out of the deal. But I kind of, for some reason, I felt like making him have this Juggernaut on the board might cause him to overextend himself a little bit and attempt to kill my guys in ways just to get him untapped. In ways that he might not otherwise. See, and this is the funny thing, Galvanic Juggernaut I like and everything, but in his deck I don't really think it made a whole lot of sense, because you really want this card when you can activate its untap ability on your own by either killing the opponent's cards with red or black removal, or even white removal, or when you've got your own self-activated sack abilities. And these colors don't have that. I mean, you've got Selfless Cathar in white, sure. But as far as I can think of right now, you don't really have other ways to make that happen. I mean, Ambush Viper makes it happen very quickly. And Spidery Grasp is a nice tool to get this back when it's not expected to come back. And same with Village Elder, or Village Bellringer, of course, but generally this card gets a lot more powerful when you are running black or red or sack dudes. You've got to be able to ensure that you can untap it. And so instead of blocking with the guard like I would normally do, I decided to let it go because I just didn't think that there was any chance he was going to be untapping that anytime soon. So I mean, with this not untapping unless I want it to, I didn't see the reason to be afraid of that 5 damage. It's one thing lately that I've lost sight of, is that I need to improve my estimation of when I can accept certain levels of damage from the opponent. In many games, I'll trade very early on because I don't want to start taking damage, and sometimes you can afford to take a few hits. And this sucks because I didn't use the guard as a blocker. Now it's been taken away from me as something that I can possibly even consider, but not really, because I have the Bellringer, and like I said before, Bellringer is going to allow me to untap this guy when least expected and still get a use out of him. And here I should attack. Yeah, good. I'm attacking, getting a little bit more damage in. He's not untapping this Juggernaut anytime soon. If there was anything I was worried about, it was an Ambush Viper, but again, I still have Geist Flame to deal with that. He's got a lot of mana over there, nothing to do with it. It's always great to see these guys come out when Morbid's not going to be ticking on them. And here's where I'm going to make one of my mistakes this match, is in that there's really not any reason why I shouldn't continually attack with this lone wolf here. I probably, and really I could attack with both. I mean, with my opponent having nothing in his hand, I guarantee that I'll get at least 2 damage through. And I want him to attack. I would be perfectly fine with him attacking me. So I don't know why I choose not to attack here, other than just silliness. In essence, I'm giving him a potential out, because sooner or later it is going to come down to me dealing a certain amount of damage in a certain amount of time, and that, by not taking every advantage possible, I'm allowing for the possibility of him drawing out of this in some way. And now, him playing that last land, I don't really agree with that, because as long as he's got that card on the table, that card has no impact on the game whatsoever. In his hand, even though it's a weak bluff, it does make me think that he's got something. And what he really needs is for me to continue to be kind of a goofball and not attack like I did in the last turn. I mean, I really have answers for every scenario. I mean, he's bemoaning the fact that he's drawing land, but honestly, anything that he drew at this point, I can handle. And once again, I don't attack. I don't know. I mean, I think what was going through my mind was that I wanted to collect up enough wolves to go lethal, but why go lethal? Why allow him all this extra time when I could just make it happen quicker? I may have not realized that his hand was empty. I have no clue. But I mean, basically with the attacks that I missed, my opponent would be down to 7 life right now if I were doing what I was supposed to be doing, and that would mean that this turn right here would be pretty much death. So I would have forced an early concession and guaranteed 2 less cards for my opponent. And now, because he has a card in his hand, I'm less likely to attack. Now, if he had kept that plains in his hand, then I definitely would never have even considered attacking to the previous turn as well. But it pretty much looks like to me at this point that on the next turn I can go in for the win and count on being able to use Brimstone Volley for 5. And here he prepares to travel. Preparing to block is more like it. Now he's cast 2 spells, so at this point I know that if I were to cast 2 spells myself, it's not going to hurt me because my Hellpack Alpha is becoming a mare. But I do want to get all the humans that I can out, because when he flips, my humans are going to get bigger. So hopefully at end step here I'll cast the Bell Ringer that unlocks the Mausoleum Guard, and now I've got an extra 2/5. I've got an extra 3/3. I've got the Hamlet Captain who's a 3/3. So when all of these guys go in as a team together, it's a ridiculous amount of damage that is just impossible for him to handle. I'll even send the Mayor of Everbrook. Mayor of Everbrook is a card that, once it's made all these dudes, it's done its job. I mean, it's given me basically a net card advantage of 4 here, plus it's soaked up this enchantment from my opponent. So at this point, it's perfectly fine to throw it away. I mean, I'm winning this game here. There's nothing that my opponent can do. He doesn't even have mana right now open for a fog effect or something like that. Smite the Monstrous could have got me right there, but it wouldn't have stopped him from dying. So pretty easy victory there. And now on to the next match.